So the thing that immediately stuck out to me in your checking account was your previous balance of only $177.
Yeah.
That's scary because I assume your rent is
100%.
well over that.
You're going to see in there it's expensive.
You cashed out $800. Was this borrowing from someone, Venmoing?
Yeah.
Okay. Who are you borrowing from?
My mom.
Okay.
I had a really rough couple of years, the last year and a half especially, and I quit my job without having another one lined up. Hi, I'm Kristen. I'm 34 and I live in Austin, Texas.
What do you do for a living?
Right now, I don't have a career, but I had to go back to being a barista.
What do you mean you had to?
Well, here we go. I think I'm about to get roasted for this. I had a really rough couple of years, the last year and a half especially, and I quit my job without having another one lined up. And I'm not going to try and justify it because I'm sure people don't agree with it or have their own opinions, but I felt like it was the best choice for me at the time.
So what was happening in the rough couple of years?
Some of it, quite frankly, I'm not going to divulge.
Sure.
I just don't want to share that. A lot of it had to do with my job.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just under an immense amount of stress that wasn't.
So it was mostly stress related with the job then?
Yes, but it wasn't just, it's hard to explain. I'm not going to explain
without giving too much context.
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
Sure.
But I think if people maybe understood, they would get where I was coming from.
Sure. Are you able to tell us either what the job was or what type of job?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm not going to say where it was, but right. I was working in an IT department, and I think the easiest way to describe it is basically running, like business operations.
Okay.
So I was tracking expenses, making sure that our software got renewed, working with the procurement department and accounts payable to make sure all of our stuff was bought and paid for on time, that kind of thing.
Was it a management role?
Technically, no, but it was an interesting role in the fact that I was the only person who did it. So I had there were times when I felt like I had to make decisions on certain things about like when to push forward, when to, how to move forward without a lot of assistance.
Sure.
Sure.
And what were you bringing in a year on that role?
So that adds to the story as well. That was unintentionally a 3-year 1099 contractor role.
Okay.
And so I was pulling in $40 an hour, but obviously it's 1099 contract, so there was no benefits and no PTO.
Was it 40 hours a week?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think last year my 1099 tax form said I made 72.
72, and that's pretty good.
Yeah, I was actually quite happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, it was a 3-year contract, but you quit after 2?
So it ended up being 3 years total. There was not an intended time frame for it. Really, was 6 months. I was trying to get hired on full time. There was lots of stuff in the background. Then COVID happened. There was a hiring freeze and other things that were out of my control, which is part of the reason I decided to leave was because they were not making it a priority to see if I could be hired full time.
How long ago did you leave?
That was in April.
And then since then, barista. So what made you decide to go into essentially that kind of food service industry?
So I actually just started that in August. So I spent a couple months trying to kind of get myself together and figure out like, how are we going to move forward here? Like, you need to find a better situation. What is it going to be? Unfortunately, I haven't been able to find anything that is, in my opinion, a high enough paying job for, me to actually pursue it. And I actually started to panic in, like middle of July. I was like, oh no, I'm running out of money, because I had some money saved. And I just, I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I need to work. I want to work, and I need to work. Like, I can't, you're also going to see I don't have credit cards. So I have I have to work because I have nothing to fall back on.
Sure.
So I decided like, look, I need to work. You know, I had a couple other interviews and things just weren't like panning out. I can go over the whole like hiring process now is pretty awful. It's a lot of ghosting.
Sure.
And so the easiest way to get money when you need it quick and you have service experience, and thankfully I do. I'm a trained barista. I've worked in, you know, a restaurant, and if you need money quick, you can get hired within a week and start working. And so that's what I did. I was hired beginning of August, started working a couple days later. And so I've thankfully been able to stay afloat doing that.
How many hours are you working right now?
Oh, I'm trying to do full time. So I'm trying to be at least 38 to 44. It kind of depends on how the shifts work. I've tried to pick up a couple extra shifts from people.
And are there healthcare benefits there?
There are not.
What are you making on an hourly basis?
So it's $10 an hour plus tips.
$10 an hour is actually pretty low for Austin, even.
Yeah. So, I mean, I work with literal high schoolers. It's very humbling.
Is it like a chain or a local place?
No, it's a local place.
Oh, and still $10 an hour.
And I get tips. So on a good day, it's $20 an hour roughly with the tips. And then on a not so good, a slower day, like a Sunday or Monday, like $16 an hour.
Now, do you enjoy it?
There are aspects of it that I do enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to do customer service work like that because you have to be on all the time for 8 hours. You don't really get breaks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you end up working weird hours. I'm, you know, up very early in the morning most of the week.
Yep.
And then I'm tired the rest of the day. So there are pros and cons. I do enjoy a lot of the work though. I, you know, get to meet people and talk to people, and there are cool things about it, but would I say this is a long-term thing for me? No, it's not. It can't be.
Sure. Yeah, there's definitely more I want to talk about there. But let's take a look at your money. So the thing that immediately stuck out to me in your checking account was your previous balance of only $177.
Yeah.
That's scary because I assume your rent is
100%.
well over that.
You're going to see in there it's expensive.
Oh, you have an expensive rent. Yeah.
I do.
Okay. So previous balance, 177.93. Put in 5,454. Taken out 3,390. New balance, 2,241. Now we like that new balance.
Right.
But how did we get there?
Right.
Is the question. So if we are looking at money going in, you cashed out $800. Was this borrowing from someone, Venmoing?
Yeah.
Okay. Who are you borrowing from?
My mom.
Oh, okay. And some Visa money transfer credit, 52, 54, 75, 34, and it just goes on and on and on and on.
Those are all of the place I work uses a third-party software company to distribute tips. So
those are the tips.
So you get those every night that, you know, you work a shift. Every night at the close of business, the tips are deposited directly into your bank account. So that's what all of those are.
389 direct deposit. So that was probably the hourly.
That would have been for the first week that I worked, yes, because I didn't work like the full 2-week period.
Oh, I see. And then 623.
That was the next period. One, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then one thing that immediately stuck out: $250 put into ATM.
Yes.
Where'd you get that from?
I sold some furniture.
So, you're down to selling furniture now?
Well, to be fair, it was a standing desk and a chair for my office setup that I clearly no longer need since I don't have an office, work from home job.
But that should be coming up again, right?
Yes, but also this is going to play into the larger story here.
Okay.
I'm not staying in Austin. So I'm slowly parting ways with some of my things that I won't be bringing.
Are you not staying in Austin because you can't afford it, or you actively want to leave?
It's both.
Okay.
It's both.
Where do you want to go?
I would love to go back to Maryland. I lived in Baltimore for a while and I loved it there. I don't know if I will do that just yet because I'm a little wary to do that without a job.
Yeah.
Especially given the current situation I'm in. I have a brother who lives out of state who has invited me to live with him for a while. So that is my most promising option right now.
Right. Now, do you get gas from 7-Eleven?
I do. That's
okay,
only
perfect.
gas.
Only gas. Good, because there was a good amount of 7-Eleven purchases there,
It's
so
the
I wanted to make
closest
sure.
gas station to me, yes. Yep.
And then something probably happened to your car, $107 at Firestone?
That was an oil change and a tire rotation.
Okay.
So it was maintenance that I had to do.
Then you made a Venmo out of $200.
That was starting to pay my mom back for what she
Has paid you?
Let me.
How much has she paid you in total?
She lent me $800.
Okay, so that's what that was.
Right.
Is there a payback agreement?
No, there is not. It was a loan. It was not a gift. She actually, when I paid her back, she said, "Why did you pay me back yet?" You're like, "Don't worry about it now. You're fine. You need to sort yourself out. It's all good." So, but I feel a moral obligation to pay someone back as quick as I can.
Is this the right time? I'm with you on the moral obligation part.
Maybe not.
And then I'm guessing this $1,851 is the rent, which is well over what you bring in
100%.
on a monthly basis.
It's why I've had to make some drastic decisions. And I think part of it is I was looking for a hard reset. I didn't necessarily want
You did the hard part of that correctly.
I didn't want it to be this difficult. I didn't plan on it being this difficult, but, be careful what you wish for, I guess, right?
Yeah, you needed to take an easy reset instead of a hard reset. Yeah.
So I actually have, we'll see. Hopefully everything goes through, but I'm in the process of a lease takeover. So
Okay.
I have...
Or is that a sublease or?
So it's the way that my apartment complex does it is you don't sublet. You have people take over your lease. So basically they get added to my lease, I get removed, and they are the sole owners of that lease.
And that process has started.
It's already in progress. Yes. So
Good.
we don't have it. The document is not yet signed that I'm off the lease. So I can't say 100% that that's what's happening here, but that is the direction that we're hopefully going in. And if that goes through, I will be out of here before the end of the month.
End of the month. Wow.
Yes.
And we're like halfway through the month, aren't we?
Yes.
Close to. Wow. This is a dramatic situation that you're bringing to this table today. This is pretty intense. And I'm sorry that you got to kind of that breaking point of where essentially you had to sacrifice your life kind of in order to do that. I'm very sorry. That's a scary situation. And then with that rent that you got into likely when you were in that job, it's very scary.
I could easily afford it.
And then on here is also a savings account, but I think we can hardly call it that, right?
Right. And the reason why I basically essentially had two savings accounts. I had a standard savings account, and then I have you'll see a money market account.
Right.
And because I was a 1099 contractor, I paid my own taxes.
Right.
So I would pull money out of all my paychecks and put them in the savings so that they were separated from all my other money, so that when I had to do those quarterly payments, that money was easily distinguishable as tax only. And then the money market account was for, like any personal savings or like emergency fund that I had. So I kept them separate.
Got it. So this was for the taxes then, the Truist?
Yeah, the savings and the savings was the money market was my personal savings. Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay. So that's why there's the low balance. Was there anything in here that you had to take from when this situation started?
Not the savings, but the money market.
The money market's what you touched. So this savings then, this really just isn't a factor in all of this.
It's not. I mean, of course, I would love to have more savings, but that is not an essential number to me.
Okay. And it wasn't drained from a certain number.
No, because it was already only used for taxes. I had to take money out of the money market account for my last, when I filed my taxes in April.
Yeah.
Because I underestimated.
Oh.
And so I actually owed even more than what I thought I would.
Will you owe some taxes for the few months you worked this year? I mean, I assume yes.
I already made a quarterly payment.
Oh, perfect.
Which should cover it. So we're good on that.
Good, I'm glad.
Yeah.
Because that would definitely be a scary situation.
No, I already made sure that was taken care of. So.
Okay. So previous balance of $34.96, withdrawals 5, deposits $14.96. Is that like an automatic deposit?
I think the 5. Actually, I need to figure that out. I think it was like a maintenance. I'm guessing the balance is too low, is what it was.
Oh yes. And then the maintenance fee was the $5.
The $14.96, I think that was left over in the money market account, and I was actually going to close it. So the bank had to transfer the leftover out into my checking account in order to close. The balance had to be 0 in order for it to be closed.
Okay.
But I actually made the decision to not close it, and I put $1,000 in it. So.
Okay, why'd you make that decision?
Because I don't want to feel that defeated just yet. Like I can do it. I know I can do it. I've had a lot more money in the past. I know I can do it. I just have an income problem.
Sure. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's definitely the main issue. But let's keep going through. We do have the Truist money market account. In here, previous balance 2026, withdrawals 2012, new balance $14. So drained it to basically nothing. Mm-hmm. And this was just survival.
That was to pay the rent, yeah.
That was to pay that rent. Wow.
I used to carry a balance in there of anywhere from $10,000 to $14,000.
Well, can you tell us what was the balance of this when you left?
I want to say it was probably about 14.
And what about your checking account?
That one kind of varied. I can't give you a solid answer. Could have been like 2,000.
2,000?
I'm not sure.
So essentially,
but like I said, I owed extra money in taxes. That was like $1,800.
Oh wow.
That I owed, and then all of that Betterment account, I contributed like the first quarter of this year. So some of that I was maxing out an IRA, so I pulled out the money market account before I quit my job. So it dwindled pretty quickly.
Yeah, I bet. How was it, like essentially $2,000 a month just taken out?
From the money market, yeah.
And so this is why you had to borrow from your mom this month, because we've reached the end.
And yeah, and I have no excuse for that. It was poor planning on my part because I had a couple things while I wasn't working that came up. Obviously, there's always gonna be unexpected things.
Right.
Like, you should always plan for that, right? I need some dental work, and I had to buy an extra plane ticket for a wedding because the airline kept canceling and delaying my flight. I was officiating the wedding, and I wasn't gonna make it unless I bought a new ticket. So I spent $300 doing that. And so when it came time for my car insurance to be due, which I pay in 6 months increments, I didn't have enough left over to pay that, which is why my mom gave me some money.
I did see that, and I forgot to call that out because that was an expensive bill on your checking account. Mm-hmm. So that just kind of came up, $621.
Yep.
Man. Ooh. And even for your rent and everything, what this money market was at, if this was even, this was considered your emergency fund, was probably pretty low.
A little low. About 3 months worth of.
Okay. So basically nothing in there. Yep. So really the only chance of survival now is just increased money or pulling from this, which would be horrible. And this is your traditional IRA.
Well, I have a little extra money in there too. God, you're going to hate me for this. When I was in panic mode, I was like, well, I need an emergency fund. Like, if something happens to me, like, what am I going to do? Like, I don't have any insurance. I have a dog. Like, what kind of idiot has a dog and doesn't have any extra money left over in case something happens to your dog? Like, so irresponsible. So I worked a city job for, off and on for years in my younger days, where I'm in my hometown in Wisconsin.
Okay.
And they had mandatory retirement contributions. And so I have a few accounts that I always forget about. Once a year, they'll send me the statements, but I've never touched them. I've never done anything with them. But I went through my paperwork to just see, like, oh, what were these? Like, what could I do with these funds? Like, is there some way I could use it? One of them was a 457B account. And so I could request a disbursement without a penalty, just they automatically withhold the taxes. And so I decided, what if I need that money? What if I don't? I can put it in the IRA. It's fine. I'll hang on to it. But what if I do? Then I'll have the cash on hand. So I took the disbursement, and it was
how much?
Just over $2,000.
Well, how much was in there?
$2,500. I mean, it wasn't huge, but
yeah. And then where was that spent, or was that put in here?
No, it's not spent. It's not touched. It's in there.
Good. Well, at least there's that. So there is that upside. So in here, it's mostly just split between different EDFs, like just classic Vanguard funds.
The Betterment, yes.
Yeah. So I am happy to see that. Barely any dividends, but it's happening. And then, so I'm glad that so far, I mean, it's down in value a little bit, but that's not a shock.
Yeah, I knew it was down. I contributed $9,000. I think it's hovering about $8,000 as a value now.
Just about. It has an ending balance at the end of this statement of $7,939.
Right.
And I'm glad you haven't touched that yet. Was that your next thing, or would you refuse to touch this?
I'm not touching that now.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. So, any debts? Any student loans? Any car debt?
I've paid off my student loans, and I paid off my car.
Very good. What kind of car do you have?
I have a 2014 Toyota Corolla.
Cool. Sweet.
It was 81,000 miles, so hopefully she's got a long life in her.
Yeah, I hope so. And you did maintenance on it, so
yeah,
you're taking care of it. Good. And that's why many people preach not to have any debt. I'm not a have no debt type of person. I'm a don't have bad debt, but this shows the benefits of not having debt.
Right.
Because what would you be doing right now if you had a car payment and you had private student loans that you had to pay right now? And, that would just be adding to the stress.
Right.
Now, approximately a $2,000 rent. Can't afford that, but
no.
What do you think the likelihood is that you will be out of that by the end of this month?
I would say close to 100%. Barring something strange happening, I don't know what that would be. It will happen.
Okay. And then from there, stay with brother?
That's, not my first choice, obviously is to do my own thing, live my own life, but
you don't have really a dollar practically right now.
Not really, no.
Yeah.
No.
Well, the end of the month is coming, so we should figure this out. What is happening on the 1st of next month? Where are you?
If I am still waiting on some opportunities in Maryland, if I don't hear anything back within the next, week or so, I will be with my brother.
Where's your brother?
I don't want to say where he lives, but he lives out of state.
Out of state, but in Maryland?
No,
the opportunities?
No,
okay.
No, different state.
So right now, are you applying to every remote position possible in existence?
No.
Why?
I don't really have an excuse. One, I kind of gave up on applying for remote jobs in the beginning, the first probably month or two in my job search. I was applying to basically only remote jobs.
Sure.
And I wasn't having any luck.
How often were you applying?
Every day I do some searching.
Searching, but how many applications a day?
It kind of depended. Sometimes I wouldn't really find anything that appealed to me, or the money wasn't
Aren't we kind of in crisis mode right now, though, where you have to at least get something and then work that while you look for the more dream job?
Yes.
When you have to borrow from the parents, we're in crisis mode.
True.
And even if you wanted to continue the barista job, it's not going to continue because you're not going to continue to be here in 3 weeks.
No.
So we are in crisis mode of needing to get a job. And the reason why I say remote is because you're not able to give me a conclusion right now of where you'll be on the 1st of next month.
Right.
So remote is like the only option.
Well,
right?
I mean, like I said, thankfully I have service industry to fall back on. Like it's pretty easy to get a service industry job when you already have experience.
Especially right now, yeah.
You know, so like it's not my ideal situation, but like if I need to work, yeah, that's what I can do. Again, not ideal, but and the reason why I quit looking exclusively for remote is because the competition is huge for remote jobs because everybody wants them.
Yep.
So
But you need to know where you are.
A part of a larger pool when you're searching only for remote, which is why then I concentrated onto, okay, well, I'll just stick with Austin. And every lead I had here fizzled out.
It's a hard time to be applying in tech. Well, were you applying to only the jobs you knew you'd vibe with 100%?
No.
Okay.
No.
So
I was trying to be realistic about, would I want to do this? Could I do this feasibly? Is it 100% interesting to me? I don't know. I have no, like, you can't really know until you get there, right? So I was trying not to pigeonhole myself for sure. I had a few opportunities that I thought were really solid chances. I interviewed with a state agency like 6 weeks ago.
Okay.
And they called some of my references, and I still have never heard from them. So
it is critical that you decide by the end of the week where you are going. And I think the smart bet is to say, brother, right now, for a couple months at least.
That is my, yes, that is, as if you ask me right now, yes, that's where I'm going. If something doesn't pan out, because I'm still applying for jobs, I'm still looking, I'm still, Maryland is still my top choice. I have some things that maybe will pan, but I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket, which is why.
I know, but then you have to get an apartment there and everything. You don't even have enough for a security deposit.
Right.
So you should apply for everything in your brother's area, everything in existence. Now, you said you're willing to do food industry to survive for a bit, correct?
I'm doing it right now.
Exactly. I, unfortunately, go to Panda Express more than I would like. Every Panda Express in the Austin area, of which there are many, are plastered all over the store, desperately hiring managers in the 70s a year, $70,000 a year. Is that your dream job? Not even close. But it would give you, the opportunity to be able to have a place to live without draining your savings, to be able to pay for these maintenance on your cars without having to drain your savings or borrowing from the family. And it would be able to get you the opportunity to save up and go to where you want to go. I think the brother situation, though it's hard to rely on family for a long time, because, it kind of hurts after a while, right? Like, you're relying on family.
Oh, 100%. And he has his own family.
Exactly.
It's like, I feel like a total loser. Like, I didn't plan on quitting a job and not being able to get another job. Like, that didn't really cross my mind, honestly. Like, I knew I was willing to sacrifice, but I just didn't think it would be this much.
Yeah. And I have more questions about the previous job, but there's no point of going back because we are not there anymore. We're here. Right now. The only thought in my mind is, like, would there have been better avenues, like maybe potential therapy or like a leave of absence, or, I'm curious. Or maybe even talking to HR about my workload if it was the stress. Like, every company's different, everything's different, but there was something that led you to, as you said, panic mode and needing to quit, like, there. Was that something you decided, like, on the day?
No.
Okay. How long was that in your mind? Like a week, a month?
So, all right, well, let me take it back a little bit.
Okay.
So when I quit my when I quit my contract job, I actually had another job lined up that I worked at for a month. And it was, I wouldn't say terrible, but it was like not at all what I understood the job to be. I had some of this stems from the previous job. This sounds ridiculous to say. I legitimately feel like I was traumatized there.
Wow.
And it was really hard for me to like move forward from that because there was like little things kept popping up where I was like, I can't get rid of this. Like this needs to go away, you know? And because there was some real, there's some real toxic people that I like really couldn't trust anymore. And then when I, moved over to this new job, I just had concerns that like there was some, I don't know how to articulate this without like, dragging anybody because that's not what I'm here to do.
Sure.
I just had concerns about me being able to move forward.
Okay.
To put it simply.
Weren't willing to hold out until you could find another position that was that bad for you.
At the time, I felt like it was.
What about in hindsight?
In hindsight, I mean, do you ever really know if anything's the right thing to do in hindsight? I don't know. Would it have maybe made my life easier? Probably. But maybe this is just a real kick in the ass from the universe for me,
Right.
Because I had been on the fence about like what I was doing with my life and like, I like Austin, but I'm not that invested in it. And I, was sort of like, where am I going to go from here? What am I doing? Like, I'm 34 years old. Like, where's my life taking me now? And maybe maybe this is me just being like overly optimistic. Maybe things haven't worked out for me here because I was supposed to be pushed out, like you need to go in a different direction and it's going to be hard, but you need to go this way. I don't know.
So from here, have you applied to any jobs in your brother's area?
As of today, no.
I think that is your full-time job for the next couple weeks, is applying to any job in his area. I also think, I don't like putting damage on car, but I know this area is so good. It might make sense for the next few weeks for you to do as much Uber eating as possible. Running Uber Eats. People here in Uber Eats, they can make like 30, 40, sometimes even $50 an hour at prime time, prime location, and stack up, since you don't have to pay another month of rent, right? You shouldn't have to.
No.
Hopefully you'll get your security deposit, but that won't be instant. Stacking up as much money as possible so that you can make sure you get safely and securely to your brother.
Right. I'm still working too. I'm still working until until the second.
I know.
I can't,
But that is the lowest paying food service job I've seen in Austin, because there are places desperately trying to hire around here starting at 15, like at Cilantro, where they cook like Korean barbecue. Right. It's essentially Chipotle, if you've been there. I don't know. Yeah, but either way, $15 starting plus tips. So you're just in a really low one. I think if you work that until you get it like approved on like Uber Eats, working Uber Eats and DoorDash or something, just for a few weeks of that on your car is not bad at all. You do that, gas prices are on the way down, stacking up as much money as possible so you can safely get to your brother's place without having to worry about it. Because right now, I'd be worried about it because there's like $0 and you owe more money, to your mom. Mm-hmm. So right now we're in the negative. Not the net worth, technically, because you own your car and you have that traditional IRA. But stacking up as much money as possible. Then any second of your life that is not spent Uber eating or whatever job you do, I prefer it be one that makes more money like that, is applying to any and every job that you could do without wanting to essentially... I'm trying to think of better words for this. I've been commented on for some strict language, without suffering too much in the new location. any and every job, whether that be food service, whether that be retail, and then hopefully more something in IT. And this can include remote jobs as well, but anything so that you know when you get there, you have a job that you can start within a week or two. And then from there, your full-time job assigns that job, I think, is just applying for your more dream job in Maryland and saving up enough money to be able to put a security deposit down, have a relatively good emergency fund once you move there and start your new job, and be able to pay, with that emergency fund, being able to pay a few months rent at a minimum. So I think that's it. I think the situation sucks, but it is a crappy situation. But I think the solution to turn it around with where you've gotten this is not overly complex. I know you don't like to rely on family. I know that. But I think a few months with your brother while your real full-time job is applying for jobs. There's not a job you don't apply for, and that's wherever it is in Maryland. There is not a job you don't apply for. And then any hour outside of that is stacking up as much money as possible in the city that your brother lives in for a few months so that you have some security when you move to Maryland. Then once you're in Maryland, we've really focused on just flexing that emergency fund back up to a full 6 months this time before we do anything. And then getting the retirement back on track. I don't think it's an overly complex solution because you've already kind of set yourself up getting out of the lease. That would have been the hardest situation in my mind.
Right.
You know, if you weren't able to get out of that very expensive rent. But the fact that you don't have debts, the fact that you just don't have debts in general, and then this rent's going to go away, I feel like you have a pretty clear path. Do you feel that?
I do. I know my situation's fixable. Like, I'm disciplined. I know what to do. My expenses are outside of my rent are basically zero right now because I have no life. I don't do anything. You don't get to go have a life when you quit a job and don't make any money.
Which I should have complimented you on. You do that well. You don't have any frivolous spending whatsoever.
Right. So I would like that to change. I would like to be able to buy things that I don't need, but that's not where I am. I know I can do it. It's just, I will say it's very demoralizing to
I bet.
be where I am right now, to like apply to all these jobs and hear nothing. Not even you didn't get the job, just nothing. And it's like, not all of these applications are easy, like LinkedIn, easy apply, click apply. Like there are a lot of places still do the plug and play, do a cover letter, have your resume ready to go. And it's like, you spend time doing this stuff. And it's like,
are those ones worth the time if you could do quicker applications, like 10 quick applications at the time doing one of those long ones though? Because you're never going to run out of places to apply.
No, I try to balance it out with like am I really interested in this position?
Sure.
What's going to require, like what time is required in applying for it? Like, will I have to write a cover letter? I don't really want to do that. But if it is interesting enough to me,
just have a general cover letter that you can swap out. Okay.
It kind of depends on what the job is. Some require more tweaking than others, but
for sure.
But I try to balance it out with things that are just a quick, like attach your resume and apply.
Is your work experience good? Is your resume good?
I mean, that depends on who you ask.
How many years in the IT do you have on there?
Oh, just 3.
Okay, but that should be fine. I mean, you're over that kind of basic, like 2-year minimum.
I have kind of a weird resume. I've done a lot of different industries.
What's the industry you want to work in?
I don't necessarily have an industry I want to work. I'm not one of those people that has like a dream career or job. Like,
what's the job type you would work right now if you got to pick any?
I don't know. Is that bad to say? I don't know.
I think that's something you should figure out in this process. There's quizzes online that'll ask you a bunch of questions about yourself, and it'll put you on a few career tracks.
Right.
Those might be worth it.
I mean, I like to think I can do and learn anything.
Yeah, but what do you want to do? I believe you can as well, but what do you want to do? What you want to do is what you're focused on once you're applying for the places in Maryland. Right now, you're applying
I don't really
for
have that
anything
luxury right now.
So. Yeah, right now you're applying for anything in your brother's town because you don't have time. You're almost out of your place. Once you don't have your place, you're homeless in Austin, right?
Well, once I'm out of my place, I'm not here. I'm on the road. So
yeah. So at that point, we want to have at least interviews lined up at a minimum. at that point in the new town.
Right.
It's scary, but I think it's fixable. I think it's fixable I think the emergency fund, I think you could have the job you want to have in the city you want to have within 3 to 6 months. 3 to 6 months after you start being with your brother. So I guess 4 to 7 months from now. I think you could. 3 might be optimistic. I think 6 is more conservative. And then I think you could have kind of the full-fledged 6-month emergency fund within like a year and a half. Which in the rest of your life is nothing, right?
No.
Grand scheme. Yeah. And then you're probably going to start aggressively saving for retirement because you are a little behind on that.
Oh, 100%. I will not be retiring at this rate.
Well, at this rate, but you're going to do better. I mean, so. I feel across the table right now that you want to do better. You're not happy in this position you're in.
No.
So you're going to do what it takes to do it. One aspect of what you're doing right now that makes me a little nervous for the future is that I don't want to harp on it too much, so I'll just mention it one more time. Out of all the like service industries you picked like has to be one of the lowest paying ones in Austin.
Right.
So like the choice surrounding that, was that just like the first offer you could get?
I hear that.
Okay.
It was the first, I mean, I applied for it and like that day, he's like, "You want to come in for an interview?" And then it was like, "You want to start working?" And it
probably
was
because he can't find people at $10 an hour.
Hell yeah, I want to start working. So yeah, I'm going to take it. So could I have possibly found something that paid more? Yes.
Are you willing to do like Uber Eats in favor for the next 3 weeks and stack up double the money? Work the hours that you want to work as well.
Right.
Applying to things when you're not.
Right. Yeah.
Would you do that?
I can do that.
I very much would do that. They make a lot of money here.
Okay.
So I'm fortunate enough where I no longer have to work because I can make a living off of the YouTube. But if the YouTube started declining, that's probably what I would do, because I could do what I want to do, which is the YouTube stuff, and then work around that and make actually a good amount of money here in this town off of Uber eating.
Right.
In your situation, you're just replacing the YouTube with applying to every job possible in your brother's area.
Right.
And I think you'll have more money. I think you'll be in a happier place in like 6 months from now. I really do. If you just put in the time that is required, hours and hours a day of applying to everything.
Right.
So that's my thoughts. Is there any more to say from your end? Any more thoughts? Questions?
No, I would agree with that. I have to believe this can be better.
I want to hear your path then. I laid out what it would be in my mind. I want to hear it from your mind.
Okay. Well, as of now, I'm going to see how much money I can rake in before I leave town. I'm going to go up to my brother's. I'm going to get, God willing, I'm going to start working right away when I'm up there. Save as much as I can. And then I can, start trying to find a job that, can maybe turn into a career, or like something long term. And then I can move on my way again, wherever that is. Doesn't have to be Maryland. Keep it up in mind. But
we're doing a 6-month emergency fund this time, right?
100%.
Yeah.
I do have some regrets about the way I quit my job.
Yeah. But you've learned from them.
Yes. One being I should have had more money saved. I thought 3 months, like I can get another job in 3 months. Well, here I am. Or I should have potentially looked at just jumping right into service right away after leaving that job so that I could, still have some money coming in and still have time to look for a job, so.
Did the 2 months help that you took off with everything? Mental health and everything?
No.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't fun for me. It was fun for like a week. I was like, all right, I'm going to look for some jobs. Like, I'm going to get my, it'll be cool. I'll have, time to hang out with my dog. But after that, I was like, no, like, what if this doesn't work out? Like, what if you don't get a job? And sure enough, And I was like, you can't spend any money. You can't, like, it's not fun. No. You know, like when you don't work and you have money to do things, then it's fun.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a break. No.
Well, I think you got this. Let's keep in touch. And
for sure.
I would love to see you where you are in 6 months. We'll update everyone on that. But I think you got this. Just strap down, take compromises, and work your ass off.
I will.
Let Christian know what you think about her financial situation in the comments below. And if you want to see these happen live as well as chat with me on a daily basis and have a once-a-week video chat, feel free to join my private Discord linked in the description below. Shout out to my 4 Cups of Coffee supporters: Abdil Martinez, Mark, Josh Bennett, Clayton006, Tyler Chong, Drew Smith, Timothy Williams, Sam I Am, Jason Spriggs, Nicholas Daly, Tom L, Jay Freedom, and Hans. 8 Cups of Coffee supporters making the dream come true: Joseph Strickland, Anthony Anada supporter, and Sam V03. Subscribe and stick around for more. Thanks.